Last month, Donald Trump officially declared his candidacy for president in 2016.
I am officially running for president of the United States.
Immediately following this announcement, however, many members of the media lashed out saying, "Trump, you're not seriously considering running for president in 2016 on the platform of the GOP, and instead you want to use this opportunity as a means to inflate your ego and your business." So it's kind of ironic then, now, a couple weeks later, flashing forward, that Trump is actually number 2 nationally in the polls. So in this video, I want to analyze from my perspective as a teenager, Trump's general traits and character, and ultimately his policy issues and his stance on them. So firstly, many people will say Trump has a hyperinflated ego, and that's not okay. Politicians are already too egotistical, and it's unacceptable. So to that, I agree 110%. Trump cannot go a single interview without mentioning his book, The Art of the Deal, his success with the Celebrity Apprentice on TV, or his net worth. So that, I understand, is frustrating and annoying, him constantly rattling off his achievements. But at the same time, it's not like those achievements are without merit, because in no uncertain terms, Trump is a successful and seasoned businessman, and he's very wealthy as a result of that. But that's really what's important. That's what we need in Washington, because government does not operate currently like a business. There is no customer service or places where you can file a complaint. Trump, in that sense of the word, has personal responsibility as a businessman. And that's why, in my view, he's branding himself as a business person, not a politician. Because as Davy Crockett said, promises cost nothing. Which brings into question the validity of what Trump is saying, because although he sounds like a great person, for example, he says he's so wealthy that he will self-fund his presidential campaign, that sounds great and all, but will he really refrain from being manipulated by corporate interests or special interest groups? Now, one of the main aspects that I want to point out as far as Trump's policy issues and his stance on them is immigration. Trump is very vocal about immigration, and he's an opponent of illegal immigration, which makes sense to a certain extent. However, I don't understand why, as a businessman, he's against this, because my way of thinking is that, for example, if I am the owner of a pizza shop, okay, I have an American employee, a legal citizen of the United States of America, who's working for me at a rate of, say, $8.50 an hour. So that person, that employee, is making $8.50 an hour. Now, if illegal immigration, as they call it, which is funny semantically, it's like calling them aliens. It's like, no, they're just people. But if an illegal immigrant comes along who is Latino, let's say, and they can work at the same quality, if not better, for a lower wage than my other employee, then as a business person, why would I not hire the Latino? It doesn't make sense. Also, something that makes me a little bit uneasy about Trump is his using of politics to actualize his agenda. For example, the story that came out of San Francisco last week of the woman who was randomly targeted by an undocumented immigrant. Trump immediately politicized that story, saying that, well, if it were for better border control, we wouldn't have this issue. Well, that doesn't make sense, because that is Trump saying that because this man, who was probably mentally unstable, because that man was an undocumented immigrant, that is or was his impetus for killing this woman. No, not at all. That's like saying I, as an American, am automatically a murderer because other Americans in the past have killed people. It's completely illogical. That being said, I still have to very much admire his unflinching conviction on so many issues. Again, immigration being a prime example. In one of his speeches, he said that Mexicans were implicitly rapists and drug dealers.
When Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best. They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people.
I don't agree with that at all, because that's a huge stereotype that will lose him a lot of votes. But even though he said that, when he went on interviews for TV and other things, he didn't back down or retract those statements. Instead, he stood with what he initially said. And that's, again, super admirable, because unlike other politicians who manipulate their message depending on what demographic they're speaking to, Trump stayed true to his convictions and his beliefs. So, in sum, those are my thoughts on Donald Trump. Again, I really love what he's saying, but at the same time, I don't want to fall into the two-party system trap of, believing what these people say, and then once they're elected, they don't do any of that. This has been Andrew Demeter of Teen Take. Peace, love, and liberty. Signing out.